Liverpool rocked by shock twists on and off the pitch. Don't miss a second. Subscribe now for instant Reds updates, exclusives and breaking alerts. Liverpool urged to sign Premier League star tipped to complete squad as Mo Salah's successor Mohamed Salah could leave Liverpool after nearly a decade at Anfield, and the Reds are being urged to move for another Premier League star to replace him. Andy Townsend reckons West Ham striker Jarrod Bowen would prove a superior replacement for Mohamed Salah compared to Real Madrid's Rodrigo, and would seize the opportunity to make the switch. The Brazilian, 24, was reportedly on Liverpool's radar last year following Luis Diaz's transfer to Bayern Munich, while also drawing attention from Arsenal and Manchester City. A move to the Premier League appeared on the cards at one stage, with Rodrigo struggling for regular playing time under then Real boss Xabi Alonso. Nevertheless, he subsequently expressed his desire to stay in Madrid after the summer transfer window shut. Townsend, though, considers Bowen a more realistic acquisition, with Salah potentially approaching the closing stages of his remarkable Liverpool tenure. Arne Slot is already assembling a squad equipped to compete for silverware in future campaigns. Former Aston Villa midfielder Townsend told Boyle Sports, "Who can Liverpool bring in to take Mohamed Salah's place next season? I think Jarrod Bowen would do very well for Liverpool. I don't quite get the Rodrigo links. Clearly, if you play for Real Madrid, you've got great ability, but I've never seen him as a Galactico. Jarrod Bowen would absolutely go to Liverpool and be a real threat for them from the right on that side. They'd have Cody Gakpo, Hugo Ekitike, and Jarrod Bowen. They give you pace, work rate, goals, and real output. That's a front line that has everything you could want. Liverpool are going to have to look at Bowen because I just don't see Salah staying beyond this summer. Whatever's gone on at Anfield, it's just taken a bit of wind out of Mo's sails. Whether it's a relationship problem or he's just getting older, whatever it is, he's never going to be able to keep producing the numbers like he has done in the past. It just looks like Mo is now running out of steam, and there's no shame in that. It's just football. It's part and parcel of getting older. Mo's best days are behind him and they've got to replace him. Liverpool's long-standing talisman has topped the club's goal-scoring charts for 8 consecutive seasons, but his return has declined this year. He's netted merely 4 Premier League goals in 16 matches, alongside 2 more in 7 Champions League outings, a marked decrease from his customary standards. Salah joined from Roma in June 2017 and has since become one of Liverpool's finest modern players, amassing 252 goals in 428 appearances across all competitions and securing a legacy that puts him among the club's all-time greats. Arne Slot outlines who is responsible for Liverpool set pieces after marked improvement. Liverpool boss Arne Slot has outlined who is responsible for the Reds set pieces after a marked improvement in recent weeks that has coincided with an upturn in results. Liverpool head coach Arne Slot has outlined why he feels the Reds have improved from set pieces since Aaron Briggs was let go at the end of December. Briggs and Liverpool decided to part ways, with Slot's men struggling at both ends from corners, in-swinging free kicks and long throws. But since then, things have seen an upturn, something the Reds boss says is in part down to chance. I'm happy that you asked that question because it would be very unfair to Aaron, who was partly responsible for set pieces, but in the end, I'm responsible for everything, Slot said. We were in that period of time so unlucky. We all knew that it couldn't go on like that. We hardly gave away any chances, but every ball went in and we created multiple opportunities to score and the ball didn't go in. That things have gone back to normal now is what we expected. In general, we didn't change that much, maybe some slight changes, but things just went back to normal. Lewis Mahoney does the main work, and we have a meeting together to check the details. In the Champions League, when Aaron was with us, we were already number 1 in set pieces. So I would maybe say things have gone back to normal, and we adjusted small things. At the moment, we are happy with way things are, but as it is with players, we are always looking if we can strengthen the staff or the squad. We always keep our eyes open, but we don't expect any change today or tomorrow. Liverpool has scored from 8 set pieces since January 1st. That is equivalent to what it accumulated in the entirety of the season's first 4.5 months. Man Utd and Liverpool joined forces over $750 million Premier League plan after shareholders meet. Though they are bitter rivals on the pitch, Manchester United and Liverpool are set to fight the Premier League's plans to take control of perimeter advertising sales to generate some $750 million annual revenue. Manchester United, Liverpool and other members of the Premier League's Big Six are set to oppose plans to take control of perimeter advertising sales. English top-flight officials unveiled their exploratory proposals at a shareholders' meeting last week, claiming that an additional $750 million in annual revenue could be generated. The approach would see the Premier League oversee a central negotiation on advertising hoardings, rather than clubs securing their own deals with preferred brands. However, United, Liverpool and Manchester City are among the clubs that have reportedly turned their noses up at the idea. When approached by the Daily Mail for comment, however, none responded. The deal framework would see 60% of pitch-side advertising sold centrally, while the number of premium commercial partners would rise from 7 to 10. Said revenue brought in would then be sent to all 20 Premier League teams, with allocation on divisions depending on a number of factors. At the time of writing, the Premier League have access to 5 minutes of advertising space on club boards during matches. However, this is reduced to just 2 minutes when games are televised, with the remaining 3 being allocated to broadcasters. It is claimed that many elite-level clubs share a view that their levels of expertise in the commercial department is not matched by the Premier League. After last week's meeting, one chief executive also raised concerns over a conflict of interests with existing club sponsors in advertising rival brands, despite long-standing deals with certain products. Despite the Premier League also declining to comment on matters, sources say that the move would be nothing but a benefit to clubs. It is understood that the league is also committed to exploring opportunities in the interests of clubs and continue to do so regularly. No formal or finalised plans are believed to have been submitted, and the league is expected to continue to liaise with all clubs with opportunities in their best interests. Man Utd and Liverpool joined forces over $750 million Premier League plan after shareholders meet. Though they are bitter rivals on the pitch, Manchester United and Liverpool are set to fight the Premier League's plans to take control of perimeter advertising sales to generate some $750 million annual revenue. Manchester United, Liverpool and other members of the Premier League's Big Six are set to oppose plans to take control of perimeter advertising sales. English top-flight officials unveiled their exploratory proposals at a shareholders' meeting last week, claiming that an additional $750 million in annual revenue could be generated. The approach would see the Premier League oversee a central negotiation on advertising hoardings, rather than clubs securing their own deals with preferred brands. However, United, Liverpool and Manchester City are among the clubs that have reportedly turned their noses up at the idea. When approached by the Daily Mail for comment, however, none responded. The deal framework would see 60% of pitch-side advertising sold centrally, while the number of premium commercial partners would rise from 7 to 10. Said revenue brought in would then be sent to all 20 Premier League teams, with allocation on divisions depending on a number of factors. At the time of writing, the Premier League have access to 5 minutes of advertising space on club boards during matches. However, this is reduced to just 2 minutes when games are televised, with the remaining 3 being allocated to broadcasters. It is claimed that many elite-level clubs share a view that their levels of expertise in the commercial department is not matched by the Premier League. After last week's meeting, one chief executive also raised concerns over a conflict of interests with existing club sponsors in advertising rival brands, despite long-standing deals with certain products. Despite the Premier League also declining to comment on matters, sources say that the move would be nothing but a benefit to clubs. It is understood that the league is also committed to exploring opportunities in the interests of clubs and continue to do so regularly. No formal or finalised plans are believed to have been submitted, and the league is expected to continue to liaise with all clubs with opportunities in their best interests. Liverpool Champions League pathway becomes clearer as two likeliest options emerge. Liverpool avoided the Champions League playoffs after finishing inside the top 8 spots, but will be keeping an eye on how its potential last 16 opponents are getting on. Liverpool avoided the Champions League playoff by finishing in the top 8 of the league phase, meaning Arne Slot and his players have this midweek and the next one off. Given the hectic schedule and the lack of options due to injuries and a limited pool of players for Liverpool to pick from at the moment, that was a huge boost. But the Reds can still keep an eye on developments in Europe in the meantime. On Tuesday, Galatasaray hammered 10-man Juventus by 5-2, taking a commanding lead in that clash. The Italian side, at home next midweek, faces an uphill battle to progress. Then on Wednesday, Club Brugge came from 2 goals down against Atletico Madrid, only for the Spanish outfit to retake the lead via a Joel Ordonez own goal and Christos Solis to level things up again. It would appear, with Galatasaray winning by a 3-goal margin, that it will be one of the 2 options that Liverpool could face next. Atletico Madrid, having drawn 3-3 in Belgium, will expect to get the job done in the reverse leg, but Club Brugge has given itself a chance. Looking further ahead, should Liverpool beat whoever it faces next, the rest of the competition is taking shape too. PSG came from behind to beat fellow French side AS Monaco, with the winner of that matchup going on to face one of Barcelona or Chelsea in the last 16 before a potential meeting with Liverpool in the quarter-finals. Elsewhere, Benfica and Real Madrid faced each other again, just a few weeks after the Portuguese side secured a spot in the playoffs in the most dramatic of circumstances, beating the Spanish giant thanks to goalkeeper Anatoly Trubin's header. UEFA is currently investigating alleged racist abuse directed at Vinicius Jr. in that game. Borussia Dortmund took charge of its tie with Atalanta, winning 2-0 in the home leg. Any one of those 4 sides is a potential semi-final opponent should Liverpool make it that far. Liverpool, as a top 8 qualifier, will host the second leg of their last 16 tie at Anfield. The round of 16 draw is on February 27th, a couple of days after the second legs in the playoffs are concluded. Arsenal and Liverpool's Champions League path becomes clearer after playoff first legs. The Champions League took centre stage in midweek, and the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester City are one step closer to discovering their next challenge. The teams who have qualified for the round of 16 phase of the Champions League are one step closer to discovering their next opponents following the first games of the playoffs. 16 teams competed across Tuesday and Wednesday night for a spot in the next round of the tournament, including Newcastle, the only Premier League side who failed to automatically qualify for the last 16. Eddie Howe's men will surely advance, though, after racking up the biggest win of the match week against Qarabag. The Magpies thrashed their opponents 6-1 to chalk up an unassailable lead ahead of next week's return leg on Tyneside. They already know their reward for getting through will be a clash with either Barcelona or Chelsea. Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City and Tottenham are the other Premier League clubs who finished in the top 8 of the league phase and already through. And while it may be too soon to start nailing down any concrete plans ahead of next week's second leg ties, some have a better idea of what lies ahead. Arsenal, for example, know they will play one of Borussia Dortmund, Atalanta, Olympiacos or Bayer Leverkusen. After the first leg ties, Dortmund and Leverkusen are in pole position to advance after winning their respective games 2-0. Liverpool and Spurs will play the victors of the Galatasaray versus Juventus and Club Brugge versus Atletico Madrid clashes. The Turkish giants thrashed Juventus 5-2 ahead of next week's decisive fixture in Turin, while Brugge and Athletic are all square after a 3-3 thriller. Manchester City could face Real Madrid in the next round after they beat Benfica 1-0 away in a game which was overshadowed by the alleged racist abuse Vinicius Jr. was subjected to. Bodo Glimt and Inter Milan are their other potential opponents, with Bodo taking a 3-1 aggregate lead to the Italian capital.